All right, let's get into culling. So sorting through the images and picking the ones that are going to go to the couple, the ones that we're going to finish, and the ones that are going to get thrown away or stored in our raw photos from the wedding day. As with all of our tasks, the first thing we do before anything is to get mentally prepared to work. If you show up at the office and you're not ready to work, or you sit down at your computer and you have distractions going on, it's going to take longer than it needs to. So we want to get that task finished. If you need help here, go see the video on mental preparation and go back and learn this and go back and figure this out so that you can get best prepared in order to cull your images in one sitting and get them finished. As we do with every one of our tasks, we have to figure out what it is we're trying to accomplish with our culling. Otherwise, we're going to end up with too many images being sent to the client, too many images to finish. So this doesn't mean that we limit the amount that we send to our client, only that what we send is done so with purpose. I will go through exactly how we do things, why we do things. So what is our purpose? We want to choose an overall story of the client's event without being too overwhelming. Remember that more pictures doesn't necessarily mean a better quality of product that you're sending. Also remember that just because you took a picture of it doesn't mean that you need to deliver it. We have a formula for a wedding where there are 72 must-have images that we have to shoot and deliver in order for it to be, in our eyes, a successful wedding. So keeping in mind what the client wants, what their parents want, what their friends want, and ultimately what they're going to do with their pictures. For us, everything we deliver over and above those 72 must be adding to the story of the day in some way. So here are a few notes about culling. When selecting moments, you need the lead up, the pinnacle, and the reaction. You don't need everything in between. So if you have, let's say, a first look, you're going to set the scene of the first look, you're going to get the pinnacle of the emotion of that first look, and you're going to get the reaction of it. So that would be her walking up, his and her reaction faces, and the hugging and looking at each other's eyes in the follow-through. Everything in between isn't always necessary, and you can eliminate a number of images by just thinking about the lead, the pinnacle, and the follow-up. You need a couple of variety of the things that you photograph, but not necessarily all of them. If you took 10 shoe pictures, 3 are really good and 7 not so good, include the 3. As long as you have variety, selecting the best over the mediocre will make your entire wedding coverage of better quality. With family photos, you're looking for ones with most eyes open and people looking at the camera. 2 options per family grouping is a good amount. Make sure you leave enough space around the people for mom to crop it to an 8x10 frame. So if this needs to adjust in your shooting on the wedding day, you're going to have to do so because you want to make sure that there's enough space around the groupings, around the people, that you can crop in, especially from the right and left sides, and still be able to frame it. With evening dancing photos, it's very easy to select a lot of pictures, so try to limit yourself to images that have big movements, emotion, colorful lighting, dramatic black and white, rather than everything of everyone dancing, because you can get a whole lot of images really quickly if you select everything from the evening. With formals of the bride and groom, you really want to be thinking about your album design. Which images go nicely together on a spread? How do I tell this story? Do I need far, near, close, wide, high, low, moving, standing, sitting? The more story combinations you can add, the more variety that you can, after you're done, put into their album. So you need to be thinking about the end as you're going through the first steps of the culling. Also keep in mind that just because you shot it doesn't mean you have to deliver it. If the lighting didn't work, if the posing is off, if their facial expressions just don't fit the picture, you don't need to include them. When we get into what program to use, our first recommendation for culling is to use a program called Photo Mechanic. This is a widely used photographer program, and it is great for looking through pictures. It does so incredibly fast and will render you full-size previews of your pictures as fast as you can click forward. Simply using this program will speed up your culling time over using Lightroom. It also allows you to import into multiple locations. So when you're backing up all your photos, you can back up to multiple locations at the same time in the same step. So it might it can eliminate steps for you and make that part faster. And it is just overall a fantastic culling program. So if you don't already, I recommend looking into Photo Mechanic and using that for your culling. Now, if you are using Lightroom, you can do that as well. My recommendation is that when you import your photos into Lightroom that you build smart previews on import, which will take longer on the import, but if you're following our plan, this is going to happen overnight anyways, so when you wake up in the morning, it'll be ready to go. And having those smart previews is going to be essential later in the process, later in our editing process, and it will speed up your computer when switching quickly from image to image. So it'll actually make your culling time in Lightroom faster by having all of those smart previews already made. So Photo Mechanic is the first option. Lightroom with smart previews is the second option.